Hey guys, what's up? Chef Hamill here, and today we are going to be making one of my favorite side dishes ever, and that is potato latkes, also known as potato pancakes. So traditionally, potato pancakes utilize some sort of white potato, whether it's a Yukon Gold potato or an Idaho potato. So I'm actually going to be doing a little twist on them, and I'm going to be using one Yukon Gold or one Idaho potato or russet potato and one sweet potato. Now I'm making a smaller recipe just because I'm only making these for myself, but I will put a recipe in the description for you to follow that is a little bit bigger for you and your family. So the first thing we need to do is we need to peel these potatoes. So I have a little bowl here for my scraps, and I am going to peel all of the skin off. It's important that when you, after you purchase potatoes, that you store them correctly. So you should store them in a cool, dry, dark place. I actually have a drawer in my kitchen that I keep all of my potatoes and onions in. You should not store them in the fridge because it actually concentrates the sugar content. The starches change to sugars in the potato, and we don't want that. So I am going to peel all these as best I can. Alrighty, that's pretty good. Set that aside. And I'm going to peel my sweet potato. I've never made these latkes with the combination of both the sweet potato and the russet potato, but I'm actually really excited to try this out. I have made them with either all sweet potato or all russet potato, but I think the sweet potato is going to lend a really nice sweetness to this recipe. So, we got that all peeled. So now what we need to do is we need to shred both of these beautiful potatoes. So I'm going to do my white potato first, and I'm using the large holes on the side of a box grater. And I am going to shred my potato. Be careful you don't nick your fingers because these are actually very sharp, and people usually don't think they can cut their fingers on them. So now one of the most important steps to making latkes is to squeeze out all of the water, or as much of the water as you can from the potatoes, because this is going to make our latkes very soggy, and we want to make sure that when we pan fry them that they're really, really nice and crispy. So what I'm going to do is I have some paper towels here, and I am going to squeeze out as much of the water as I can. And I have a little bowl here to catch the juice. Now I'm going to do something that I actually learned when I went to culinary school, and that is to save the starchy water that's going to come out of these potatoes, and you let it sit for a few minutes, and the top layer of that water is water, and if you actually slowly pour that out of the bowl, there's going to be natural starches from the potato that are on the bottom of the bowl, and I actually add that starch back into my latke mixture because it helps bind them together. So you're just going to very gently squeeze out as much water as you can. You can use paper towels, you can use excuse me, a dish towel, you can use cheesecloth, whatever you have around. But the more moisture that you're able to get out of these, the better. takes a lot of hand strength. So once they are dry, we'll place them in our mixing bowl. We have to move at kind of a good pace, only because potatoes oxidize and turn brown, so we don't really want our latkes to be brown. The good thing about our sweet potatoes is that sweet potatoes naturally don't have as much moisture, so we won't have to really squeeze that much liquid out of them, which is good. All right. So that is this. Last batch. Now, if you didn't have a box grater, you could use a food processor to cut up your potatoes. And I know a lot of food processors now actually have special blades that help you shred things. Or you could kind of grind them up. They don't necessarily have to be shreds, although I like the shreds personally. This is very tiring on the hands, but the better or the more able where we can squeeze the liquid out, the better. So we have our russet potato. Now we have to shred our sweet potato. I'm going to set that aside, let that sit a minute. We're also using the large side of the box grater. Be careful when it gets to that last little piece. Beautiful. And now we need to squeeze out all the water of our sweet potato. This definitely does not have as much water as the regular potato. I don't even know how much liquid's gonna come out. Decent amount. Alrighty. And I'll add that to my bowl of white potato. Might turn your hands a little orange in the process. There we go. And the last little bit. After we squeeze the water out of all of our potatoes, we're actually going to grate a little bit of onion into the recipe. And we grate the onion versus, say, mincing or dicing it because it actually makes it really fine and you get a lot of juice, and so you get that really nice onion flavor without actually eating or chewing on a piece of onion, which is nice. It barely has any juice. Beautiful. So I have all my potato. Now I'm going to grate probably a quarter of an onion. I think half an onion might be a little too much. Clean off my cutting board. Alrighty. We're also going to use the large side of the box grater. It's definitely not as easy grating onion because of the different layers. They fall apart, so just be kind of careful. It's a little bit messy. Let's see, I did about a quarter of the onion. I'll do a little more, just because I like onion. Woo, it's getting my eyes. Oh man, woo! Alrighty, so I'll set the bigger pieces aside, get all of my grated onion together, get that in my bowl. Get a paper towel to wipe the tears. Okay. Oh, I miss cutting onions with my students. Such a fun time in class. Alrighty, so now to this mixture, I'm gonna let me mix it up a little. We are going to add some egg and some flour with some salt and pepper to bind it all together. And we're gonna add that starch in that I was saying. Alrighty, so that looks beautiful. So you're gonna pour a little bit of the water that's on top into your scrapple or into your sink, and there should be a little bit of starch at the bottom. This might not have as much, which it didn't. But sometimes if you're grating a lot of potatoes, there's a lot of starch that is in this water actually that I like to add back into this. But for some reason, I guess probably just because I did one potato, there's none, of course. But anyway, if there was, which usually there is, especially if I'm making a big batch, there's a lot of starch from the potato in it. You really want to add that back into it because it's that natural binder, and so you won't need as much of the flour or the egg because of that starch. But anyway, another day. We're going to add some salt and pepper. Season it pretty generously, only because potatoes are on the bland side. Now we are going to add some flour and some egg. No, I just have one egg here. I think that's going to be more than enough. I might not even use it all. And I'm going to be using some chickpea flour just to keep it gluten-free. Not that it has to be gluten-free. I usually use regular flour, but I happen to have this on hand. So I'm going to add a little bit of this. And this is going to also help soak up any extra juice that might be in our mixture here. You can use any type of flour that you want for this. Obviously, regular all-purpose flour is great, and that's, to be honest, what I normally use. But in quarantine times, I like to experiment. So I'm going to use this chickpea flour, which I love, from garbanzo beans, from chickpeas. And I'm just eyeballing. Like I said, I will post a recipe in the description. Beautiful. Now I'm going to add, start with half of this egg. And we'll see where that gets us. We don't want the mixture to be too wet because then it's going to be a mushy latke, and we don't want that. We want them to be really nice and crispy and brown when they fry. It still seems a little dry. I'm gonna probably just add the rest of this one egg. So this is great. I used one russet potato, one sweet potato, one egg, maybe a 1/4 cup to a 1/2 cup of flour, some salt and pepper, and 1/2 of an onion or a small onion grated. As you can see, this is quite a decent amount of the mixture. So even though this is kind of like, I was hoping to be 1 portion for myself, I'm definitely gonna get some extra ones that I can eat with breakfast, make a fried egg, and have this kind of as like my side dish, which I'm really excited about. So you actually can get a lot of them out of very little potato. And it also depends on how big you make them. So I'm going to get my pan going and heating up, and then we'll fry them up. Guys, welcome back. So we are going to fry our beautiful little latkes. So first things first, I have a pan that's already preheated. It is on about a medium-low heat. I have an electric stove, so it's kind of between 4 and 5. I don't want it to get too hot. And the oil that I'm using is avocado oil, but you can use any neutral oil that has a high smoke point. So you can use vegetable oil, grapeseed oil, canola oil, whatever you have on hand. So what we are going to do first is test to see if our oil is hot enough. I like to take like a little piece of sweet potato, you can take a little flour, a little something, and just see if it's bubbling. And it's bubbling, so our oil should be hot enough. I also have a cookie sheet with a cooling rack on top of it, which I'm gonna put my latkes on once they're done, because I'm gonna make the rest of my dinner and I don't want them to get cold. So I'm gonna put them in a 200-degree oven on that rack just to stay hot. So as you can see here, I have a tablespoon, and I'm just kind of eyeballing nice little heaping tablespoons of our mixture, and I'm just flattening them. The flatter that they are, the crispier they are, and the more they'll kind of cook through in the middle. Especially with these, because they have the sweet potato, you want to make sure the sweet potato cooks through, because sweet potatoes tend to be a little bit harder, I guess, than regular potatoes. They take a little bit more time to cook through. I have just enough oil in my pan to kind of coat the bottom. You don't want to completely submerge these. This is just a light kind of pan fry. Beautiful. So we're looking for a nice golden brown, crispy bottom, and then we are going to flip them. Definitely do not add these to the oil until the oil is completely heated up. Otherwise, they're going to soak up a bunch of that oil, excuse me, and you're going to have a very soggy latke, which you do not want. So I'm going to take a look at this guy. I probably prematurely flipped him, but he's starting to get that really nice golden brown color, which we're looking for. So I'm going to leave the other ones another second. And as far as dipping sauces go, or accompaniments, traditionally these are served with applesauce, which personally I'm not a huge fan of applesauce. I really prefer more of a sour cream dipping sauce, which is also served with latkes. Tonight, because I'm feeling adventurous and I want to be creative, I'm going to make a green goddess sauce, which is a beautiful herbaceous creamy sauce or dressing. So green goddess dressing typically has a bunch of herbs in it, either chives or scallions. Sometimes it has other leafy greens like spinach or watercress or arugula. I am going to use arugula in mine because I have some that's kind of on its way out and might not be the best for a salad. And I'm going to make it in the blender, and everything gets blended up, and there's a little bit of sour cream in it and a little bit of mayonnaise in it, and it turns this really beautiful light green color. So I will post a recipe for that in the description as well. You could also make a really nice creamy horseradish sauce, which would go great with these as well, and I will also post a recipe for that in the description. Let's see. So these are getting really nice and crispy. I might actually turn up my heat a smidge. But we really want that nice golden brown color. And it's important that when you take these out of the pan that you do put them on a cooling rack with a cookie sheet underneath or paper towels, but don't leave them on the paper towels for a really long time because it actually will make them soggy again. It will initially soak up the oil, but as they sit, there we go. They will get a little bit soggy and we don't want that. Beautiful. So we're looking for that nice golden brown color. So I will fry the rest of these up and then I'll talk to you at the end. What's up guys, welcome back. So these are our finished latkes. They came out absolutely gorgeous. They are so nice and crispy. Let me show you a close-up. How absolutely gorgeous is that? So they have a really nice crispy brown exterior and they're really nice and soft in the middle, and of course I know because I had to taste one. But overall my mixture made about 15 latkes. So if you remember, I used 1 russet potato and 1 sweet potato, so that made a decent amount. It actually made more than I was expecting, but I really like to make mine very flat so they get really crispy. So of course, depending upon how big you make them, and obviously the size of your potato is going to determine how many you get in your final product. Another thing I forgot to mention that would be really great with these, of course if it was not quarantine times, is some smoked salmon that is traditionally served on top of these or as a side with the latkes. I love that with some sour cream or some creme fraiche, some dill, some capers, red onion. So delicious. But of course I don't have that right now, so I'm gonna do my own spin on that tonight for dinner. I'm gonna be serving these as a side with a fillet of salmon that I'm going to sear, and like I mentioned earlier, serve with a really nice herbaceous green goddess dressing. So all of those things I will leave recipes for in the description. If you have any comments or questions about my potato latkes, please let me know, and thank you so much for watching.